What was life like for civilians during the Revolutionary War? And what is this economy of fat? Let's talk about that on today's shave. Hello my friends, welcome back. In 1776 at this time we were hardly a war-torn country, and regular economies were still pretty much in function. And I got to thinking, what was driving it? Because this is pre-industrial time, so we didn't have oil or gas to run things, and pretty much everything ran on fat, rendered animal fat, tallow, and it provided just about everything. So if you think about tallow, beef, there's not much waste going on in this time. Beef provided, or animals, let's just say animals, provided food, and they made the tallow for soaps, and they used tallow candles, and they used tallow, or I'll use tallow. Tallow for me right now is generic for rendered fats. How's that? Because lard is also a rendered fat, and they use that too, to maybe a lesser degree for candles. But tallow candles were kind of how everybody operated at night. So after dark, it got pretty dark because you had these candles, and then of course that same fat that you use to make your candles with also is lubricating your wagon wheels, and you're using it in your rifles and your firearms to keep them lubricated, machinery in general. You treated your leather goods with fats to keep them waterproof and supple. Medicine, salves and creams and stuff were all formulated on a fat base. Of course, they had whale oil too. That was a really big industry in the Northeast, Nantucket area. But at this time in the war, that might have been curtailed a little bit because the English were seizing our ships and stuff off the coast of America. So maybe whale oil and spermaceti, or whatever we call that, the special wax that's inside a whale's head, real hard, and it makes a beautiful bright light. That was pretty much for the aristocrats and people who could afford it. But the people on the ground, everyday citizens, tallow was the thing. You would take wicks and dip it into the hot tallow and then make candles with it. And they smoked a bit. It smelled kind of like hamburgers cooking, but still got light out of them. And that was what you did. And but yes, the more I thought about how these tallow products, they were pervasive in everything, and whole economies rely on animal fat. Your soaps and your lubricants and lights and medicines. It all comes down to the animal that you butcher in the spring or in the fall. Put the stuff away. You use tallow to, this is one that you use tallow to preserve food with too. It cuts off oxygen, and because it's so the way it is, it preserves your dried beef or berries or something over the winter. It's called pemmican. Probably not as much used in the colonies as much as, you know, further west, more in the frontier area, but that's an Indian thing where they would preserve food in tallow. So, but life in the colonies at the time may be inconvenient sometimes because certain products maybe were getting a little difficult to get a hold of because they were being diverted to wartime use. But if you had an animal and you were on the farm, you were using every bit of that critter, the skin for leather, and the bones and horns for buttons and tools of certain kinds, of various kinds, and the sinew for cordage and bowstrings and things that you use sinew for, and all the fat, all used. When I was a younger man, I was apprenticed as a meat cutter, and there were still companies that would come and collect up all our fat and trimmings to go to a rending plant for use with cosmetics and medicines and all kinds of whatnot. So I knew about some of these things, but I hadn't thought about it like this until this morning. And that's where we came up with this topic today. Our gear today, this is a Schick Type M using a Schick injector, Japanese market, so this is a double-bladed Schick injector. It has about 6 shaves on it. Pretty good thing. And our soap is a tallow-based Proraso rebadge is a CO Bigelow, and that's what we'll use for our. Let's have a look, see how this goes. I got a new alum, but it's in a big round thing here. We'll see how that goes. Well, it takes a little bit more you get used to. There's no irritation at all. So we'll use a Proraso aftershave also. And finish this shave off. What are your thoughts on these little bit off the edge topics we're coming with? Talking about life in the colonies and little stuff, not the hard history that's going to be coming. If you have any suggestions, leave comments on there. I'd like to know what you guys think. And if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like. I'm Major Rich. You can find me at theshavingcutter.com. Like I said, like, subscribe, share with people you think you'd like this, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.